Did you know there's actually 4 levels of asset protection? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how those levels play out and when you need to consider using them for your own strategy planning. All right, let's get started. Okay, so what do we mean about 4 levels of asset protection? Well, it comes down to that there are many different strategies that you can implement to protect your assets, and it really depends on what types of assets you hold and what type of risk you have individually in determining what levels you need to be looking at when it comes to protecting your assets. So when it comes to looking at asset protection, the 4 levels, I like to think of it like a pyramid. All right, so we have this pyramid here, and inside the pyramid you have level 4, right here is level 3, you have level 2 and level 1. Now, obviously, I drew this intentionally with level 1 being the largest level because this is the level where most people tend to start and unfortunately stop with their asset protection. So what do I mean by that? Well, level 1 is really about ensuring that you stay protected from activities. That is, if you're starting a business, many times people will create an LLC here for their business activity because they realize that if something were to go wrong with my business, let's say I have a disgruntled customer and they want to sue my business because they don't think that they got a fair deal on the service that I offered, or maybe it's a lease agreement or somebody's injured in my business premises, or an employee that wants to sue. Well, you realize that having that LLC or that corporation provides that separation. So that lawsuit will not hit you as the business owner. It's going to go after the business itself. So another example might fall in the category of investment real estate. And so many times we'll find people, they have investment real estate and they'll do the exact same thing. They'll set up an LLC to hold their property, and they sit back and they go, hey, I have protection. And again, they're listed as the owner of this LLC. Great, this is all level 1. So level 1 is around or about protecting you from your investments or from certain types of activities. So oftentimes what we find down here is where you'll see state-specific LLCs, for real estate, and we're going to see businesses, right? Incs and LLCs as well. And so that's where that level 1 fits. Now, the problem with just stopping at level 1 is that it gives you a false sense of security. That is, you think that, hey, I'm protected. Well, you're protected only if the liability claim originates inside of the entity itself. It doesn't address some other issues, and that is namely what happens if that claim originates outside of the entity from something that you've done individually. Maybe it's a car wreck that you were involved with and someone is now suing you. In fact, I was talking to a client just the other week, and while I'm on the phone, he's driving and he's explaining to me that he was involved in a car wreck about a year ago, and he was actually taking his wife to her physical therapy. And as he's talking to me about setting up a more in-depth asset protection plan, he tells me, oh, I just ran a red light. Well, listen, obviously you shouldn't be driving, but the point is right there, right? If this happens to you in your life and you're sued individually because you run the red light and you hit the person in the crosswalk or you hit another car, are you putting everything at risk? So there, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're protecting your businesses from your liabilities. We're protecting your investment assets from your personal liabilities. So the way we do that, we are going to look at level 2 now. So level 2, when you bring that in, what you're accomplishing is you're taking your name off of these various businesses because you don't want to risk losing the business if something were to happen. And you're putting your ownership into a structure, into an entity here that, and you wouldn't put these two together in this one entity. I'm just doing it just to show you what I'm getting at. What you're doing is you're setting it up so that if somebody sues you personally, they cannot take your business or they can't take your real estate LLC. And so the way we accomplish that is by using a limited liability company that has what we refer to as strong charging order protections. Now here's a problem with that, is that there are very few states that provide this type of protection to the limited liability companies. And what is a charging order? If you're not familiar with it, it means this, that if I have a judgment entered against this person right here, let's say it's for $700,000. Well, I cannot take that judgment and then take their LLC from them. I can't take that interest. But if they didn't have this LLC there in place between them and their various other companies, then I could probably go right against that company, take that LLC that owns the property through a foreclosure action or foreclose on the business and get the business, and now I'm running the business. So what we want to do is we want to prevent that from occurring, and so we typically use a charging order protected blocker entity. That's what this is. It's a blocker entity. It blocks your creditors from your stuff is what we're doing. Now there are two states that we like to set these up in. The first one is Wyoming and the second one is Delaware, in that order. Now why am I doing that? Because they have the strongest charging order protections for their LLCs in those two states, and at the same time they provide anonymity. So with level 2, what you're looking at here is you want charging order protections. Let me just erase some of this stuff here. You want charging order protections, and you're going to get anonymity. So for level 2 protection, what I'm doing is I'm creating typically here when I'm thinking about level 2, which for every client that I ever work with, we look at level 1 and we look at level 2. That's the base level, right? Something like this, where they have their real estate LLCs and they're owned down here by a Wyoming LLC like this. So here's their level 1 protection and here's their level 2 protection. So you get charging order protection, you get anonymity. The other area, the types of asset or structures you'd want to look at in level 2 is protecting your brokerage account. So maybe, or your investments, your savings, your CDs, your treasuries, set up a Wyoming LLC for that. Again, for those charging order protections. Now, land trusts, people often bring that up. Where does a land trust fit in there? So a land trust kind of borders level 1 and level 2 as long as it's being used conjunction with another entity. So I'm not going to specifically talk about that because it gets too complicated because it's a case-by-case scenario. I just want to lay out for you some of the basic structures here. Now, what about level 3? What is level 3 when I bring that up? Well, level 3 is about using level 2 to make the assets you hold in the level 1 structures appear worthless to an outside party. So with level 3, what we're doing is we're using strategies like a friendly lien. Okay, friendly lien, where you'll take a LLC, let's say I have a Wyoming LLC over here. I'll take this Wyoming LLC and I will file a deed of trust against these properties to show that they're fully encumbered, so there's no equity there. Now, if you're wondering why would you want to do that, it's because if somebody's looking at the property, a creditor, and they're wondering, hey, could this be a payday for me? Well, the answer they're going to get back when they do their asset search is absolutely not, because there's no equity there, all right? This is a knockout punch to a creditor that's thinking, hey, this entity has a lot of assets. No, they might have a lot of assets, but they're all encumbered. So your best choice there in that scenario is to settle with the insurance company and try to get as much as you can out of the policy. So friendly liens are great strategies to use against real estate. UCC1 against your business. So you file essentially a lien against your business. So everything in level 3 is about a smoke screen. So we call these smoke screen strategies right here. Okay, and they're designed to make your assets appear worthless. And so they're really simple to implement these. A lot of times when people stop at level 2, I push them. I said, hey, let's just take it one step further, because to do that, to go to level 3, it's just some paperwork you have to record against your property, and you're in complete control of it. And so if you want to make it disappear, you can make it disappear. If you want it to reappear, you can make it reappear. It's all about you having this control. So level 3, I think, is the way to go. Also in level 3, I'm going to put in there asset protection trusts. So what is an asset protection trust briefly? If you wanted to, a lot of times we'll do this. We'll create a Nevada asset protection trust that will hold your interest in your Wyoming LLC that holds your other assets. Now, this type of planning is a lot stronger, offers a lot more benefits to you than just setting up the Wyoming LLC alone. Because yes, you have the charging order protections, but there are sometimes judges that choose to ignore the law or reinterpret the law and then give creditors potential access to someone's company. So the way we thwart that and really put a monkey into the works here is we set up this Nevada Asset Protection Trust and we domicile your entities in Nevada inside of this trust. Now you're in a completely different realm when it comes to creditors coming after you individually. It pretty much locks it all down and keeps it away from those creditors. So level 3 is also, we're going to have here the NAPT, NAP, Nevada Asset Protection Trust is going to be in that level 3. Now you're wondering, do I need something like that? Well, it depends on what you currently, what is your profession? How much risk do you like taking on? Are you a stunt pilot that likes to fly low through neighborhoods? No, I'd probably say you need level 3 asset protection. So it's really important that you analyze these as you're considering your own assets. Now, what is level 4? Well, level 4 is where we're going to take you offshore. So one of the reasons why we created offices in the Cayman Islands and Dubai is because we have a small subset of our clientele that really wants the best asset protection they can get. And this is where we're setting up a Dubai or Cayman structure. So Dubai LLC or a Cayman Trust or something like that. Because now you're taking the jurisdiction out of the US and you're putting it over there in a different area, which for the most part is not going to abide by any judgments here in the US. So if I desire to have essentially an impenetrable shield, then what I want to do is look at this level 4. And so what happens then with level 4 is you skip past the NAP and you go right to the Dubai entity and it owns all of your stuff. So now if somebody comes after you, they get a large judgment against you. Hey, I don't own this any longer. It's held by Dubai LLC. You got people over in Dubai. You can go talk to them about gaining access to these assets. And that's not going to happen. So there are 4 levels that we work with here when it comes to putting together asset protection strategies. 1 is the biggest, of course, and it's probably the one that you've started out with. But understand there are 3 levels higher than that. And as you progress higher, you get much more benefits out of it. And again, looking at those higher levels, it really going to depend on your risk level. Personally, that's when we're going to be focusing on that. Guys, I hope you liked the video and you got something out of this and it made some sense to you about what you should be looking at when it comes to protecting your assets. Take care.